Technobrain, Africa's second fastest growing technology company. Africa came first, we came in second.
Hello everyone and welcome to Unstoppable. My name is Pete Ondeng, but you can just call me Coach. This week, like every week, I'm going to be having a conversation with an amazing personality with an amazing story. A person with true grit, that determination, and an unstoppable spirit. That ingredient that separates the truly successful people from the rest of the pack. My guest this week is Joanne Mwangi, the founder and managing director of the PMS Group, a marketing company right here in Nairobi. Hi, Joanne.
Hi, Coach. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Can we go in?
Sure, definitely.
So, Joanne, let's start with what you're doing right now. The PMS Group. Can you just unpackage that a little bit for us?
Well, first of all, Coach, PMS means Professional Marketing Services. So we're a 360 degrees integrated marketing communication agency.
Wow, what does that mean?
Okay. That means that we do everything from the strategy development to the implementation, be it below the line. That means the experiential marketing, the face-to-face interaction with customers, and also above the line, such as advertising on the mainstream media, and also in non-conventional media, such as social media.
Okay.
So we basically, when a client walks in, we take care of all their marketing needs. Here at headquarters, we have about, I think, 52 people.
In total, we have a staff of like 450 people who are doing the merchandising bits. We have extras for cashiers who do the promotions bits, around 400 people. So in total, at any given time, we have an average of 600 people.
You were not always in business.
No, I wasn't.
Where did you start? How old were you then? You must have been pretty young.
Oh, I was about 26 years old when I started PMS.
26?
Yes.
Tell me about that. You quit your job and decided to start your own business.
I'll tell you, Pete, I think if I had waited to be a little older and wiser, I would never have started the business. Because obviously I underestimated the risk I was taking. And in the first year, by the time I did 6 months, I was flat broke and didn't know what to do next. So when my first LPO came, I actually had to borrow all the working capital to just get it done because I had nothing.
Looking back, what would you have done differently?
I think had I been a bit older, I would have been more risk averse. So I'm very glad that I made that jump at that time because it has worked out for me. But I also like to recognize that I'm an exception. It's not always the norm. And in my opinion, I think it's very important for somebody to do their time in corporate to learn systems and processes and order and professionalism.
Tell me about some of the real challenges you faced. I'm actually interested in your worst day. What could be or worst days as an entrepreneur?
You know, Coach, I think for me, the one that stands out over the years is 2 years into business when the Kenya Revenue Authority walked in and slapped me with a bill for 13 million Kenya shillings.
Ouch.
And that was money I had never seen in my life. And I also didn't know how I was supposed to deal with that.
What we did is that we ensured that we came up with policies and procedures and systems in place to make sure that there are no lapses on the tax issues. Whenever any tax was due, we made sure that it's paid on time. And I can say Joanne came in very boldly in terms of ensuring that that is complied with because, well, some organizations could choose to go the shortcut, but she ensured that she came out strong and stood the ground that we must follow the law to the letter, and therefore was very instrumental at that time to make sure that the systems were adopted and are followed.
From then on, I have always been one of the people who's really keen to be totally compliant because I would never wish to be in that place. And secondly, because I recognize that when you're compliant with all the laws of the land, then you can really continue to grow your business because you have nothing to fear, you're free.
It was really a moment where we were taken aback a bit because that meant that finances were a bit constrained at that moment. But she came out strongly and defended the fact that we must do things in the right way, and therefore was the pioneer to make sure that we had the systems in place and that there are no lapses that were going to be entertained or allowed moving forward.
In business, there are many days when you come to the office and you're asking yourself, why did I choose this path? And I think the hardest days are when you don't have money, because you find that you've done a lot of work and maybe the payment terms are not working for you. And so you have cash flow problems. You cannot pay salaries. And I remember one time when I had to actually make a decision that we were going to pay all the lower cadre staff, and management would have to wait, because obviously the bulk of the money is with management, because you don't want a problem with people who are really waiting for that money desperately, yet management can hold out. So cash flow is and has been a major challenge.
Cash flow can be a killer. Joanne, can you maybe recall a time when you just hit the wall and you just could not see your way forward?
Oh, many times, Pete.
Yeah.
I can tell you that at one time, I was sitting there and just trying to see how to juggle my resources. Because if you recall, in those days, we used to have Telecom Kenya lines. And so they would disconnect you when you haven't paid your bill. Yes. And so I had to get to the point where I had to work smart. So that one line was only for receiving calls. So when my clients called, they wouldn't know that I couldn't call them because I didn't have any money to call them. So you do go through some really tough times. But I would say for me, at a personal level, what really hurt when it would be my son's birthday or my daughter's birthday, and I didn't have money to even buy a cake, you know? And I always wondered, maybe I should have stayed in corporate, because in corporate that wouldn't happen. You're assured of a monthly salary.
Exactly.
One day, I think it was the 24th of December, and we got a call at 6 a.m. in the morning, and our offices had been robbed.
Oh my.
They took every electronic device there was in that office. And you can imagine now, it meant that coming back in January, you're looking to buy new computers, new telephones, everything, setting up a whole office afresh. It was a major setback.
Like 50% of the team had no backup. We had no machines to use that time. So it's a cost to the company as well, and a setback to the team, because now you have to do filing again, and to the client you have to explain the previous reports of the previous years, where they have been, and you're not able to track them. So you end up now doing raw data and filing and everything. It will take like 2 months before you settle.
It was quite a hit back at first, because when you come and you find an empty office, definitely you feel it's a challenge. And of course the business was affected for quite some period, but she took it very strongly. And you know, the days you should come to the office and you think, now what's the next step? But she was very bold enough to come and say, hey guys, we have to keep on, we have to move on. And slowly by slowly we started rebuilding back those the lost property. We really tried to get other sources of income to make sure that we could supplement what we had, and also to assure the clients that we are still there, we are still afloat. In as much as that challenge has come, the assurance that she was there to give that to the clients, that we are still going to bounce back and we are going to be able to service you, was really quite impressive.
Joanne, what inspires you?
I'm inspired by alleviation of poverty. I really think that if I can do my bit to create more jobs, to also pass on the skills that I've acquired over time, to make sure that other young entrepreneurs can do better than I have done, and at least their businesses can survive, that really inspires me. And so I run mentorship programs. I work a lot with young people, male and female, who are starting their businesses, because I just feel, had I had somebody to hold my hand, my journey would have been a lot smoother.
You didn't have a mentor yourself?
By the time I acquired mentors, I had gone through, I think, some of the roughest patches, but my mentors have helped me to grow the business and have helped me to manage growth, because I think managing success is perhaps harder than managing failure. Yeah.
Coming out of those rough patches, tell me about the success that has come over the last few years and where you are today.
Well, Pete, I think the most notable success was when PMS Group was recognized as the top medium-sized company in Kenya in 2010. I was recognized as the top entrepreneur.
Wow.
And we were also recognized as the best company in Kenya in the service sector. And nobody has beat our record yet of winning a trio of awards in the top 100 medium-sized companies.
That's amazing.
Up to date. And so it's really inspiring to us to make sure that every time we are working towards a bigger goal than what we've already achieved. And I think my really fantastic team right now has set a new goal.
Yeah, what's that?
And we now want to get into Club 101, which is where you have a turnover of above $1 billion, which we think we will do this year.
Wow.
And we're looking forward to doing that.
And you as a woman, Is that been a challenge for you in this very male-dominated environment?
Pete, let me tell you.
Tell me.
I see myself as a business leader first, who happens to be a woman. Being a woman has never been a disadvantage to me. I think it has been an advantage. And I find it one of the would I call it a misnomer, that people seem to imagine that being a woman would be a challenge. Your limitations are in your head.
Yeah.
I have never been limited by that.
The gender thing is not a barrier for you.
There is a gender barrier for some. It has never been there for me. And I attribute that to my schooling, where we were told that anything a man can do, a woman can do better.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Joanne, there are many people out there watching this show. They're wondering, should I jump in, should I not jump in? Is there a thought that you could share with our viewers on that unstoppable spirit and that moment that so many people face of being down, and what they should do when they come across a moment like that?
Coach, that moment where somebody feels really down and like they want to give up happens to everyone. But I think the most important thing is to remember the sun will always shine, and to also recognize that there must be an end date, not to flog a dead horse. So I always advise everyone who talks to me about this to remember you must set both a time limit and also a cash limit. How much am I ready to give to this enterprise?
Wow.
How much time will I say, this is it, I've given it my all? How much money before you say, this is it, I'm not going to sell my house for this business? Because then that way, you have an objective way of measuring how far you are.
Like Kenny Rogers says, know when to walk away.
Know when to run.
Know when to run. And have you ever considered quitting? Have you ever come close to quitting?
Honestly, no.
Never.
I just think I have been so driven by the passion that I have for marketing, and also by the fact that I've been really good at what I do. I chose something that I'm really good at, so I enjoy it. And I just think that what I need is something to make me now stop, you know, because I do feel that it's time to pass the baton on.
Yeah.
And yet I'm so driven. I'm still waking up at 6 a.m. and running, you know. I can't help it.
Joanne, what an inspiring story. I'm so glad we had this chance to meet with you. And there you have it, everyone. Joanne Mwangi, Unstoppable. And we're going to be back next week with another amazing story, another amazing personality, Unstoppable. I'm Pete Ondeng. Goodbye.